We didn't get too far this Chanukah. We weren't so successful in moving. We'll try to at least finish one siman. Okay. Tofresh Ayin Aleph, Sif Ches. Chotzer sheyesh koi, sheyesh lo shnei psochim mishnei ruchois, tzarach lahadlik b'shteihem. If one has a building that has an entranceway on two different sides, so you have to light in both of them, mipnei achshad. Because people are going to think, I always find this halacha amusing. Why do we say that people always think bad of you? Maybe people can think good of you. You don't have one side lit, so they're going to say, this guy's a no good Nick you didn't like. Why don't they think that he has another side? He doesn't know he has another side. But they know the guy's living there. What's going on over here? I don't really have an answer to this question. But if you want to know, the general approach of people is to be pessimistic. I think that's been around for a while. Anyways, comes to other people. Okay, very well said. Yeah. However, if both doors are on one side and it's one house, why? We're going to see the Sharet Tzia and something which really will be problematic for us in a minute. And if you're lighting in two doors, you only make a bracha on one. Why is it that on the second one you don't make a bracha? What would anybody want to offer an answer? Why? Do you think that's the simple answer? I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question. Let's start with this question. I'd like to be a fascinating question. Elias, who would pay attention because I want to know what you're going to say to the question. Okay, so I'm warning you now. A person has to light the second menorah mishum chshad. Is there any reason that he should light in the second menorah 8 candles, or one is enough?
What's the chashad?
The people are going to think he didn't light.
Oh, like 2 different windows. I think he has to light the correct number of candles because they think that's the only one he's lighting.
Well, 1 second. If I only have one window, how many candles do I have to light?
Well, what night is it? The first night?
The 8th night.
8.
Wow, you are a religious zealot.
Yeah.
That's the halacha in Shulchan Aruch. Zealotry.
Okay, 1 second. So now that you made that statement, Yechiel, how many candles? What must one light?
In the second doorway?
In the first one, on the 8th night, and he has one door. How many candles do you have to light?
8.
We're lechatchila Jews, if I may quote the Rav.
I asked you, how many do you have to light?
1, you have to light, but people light 8.
I want to tell you something. Today, just it always happens on that day. Tonight, I went to shul to daven Ma'ariv, and I'm the chazan. We didn't get into the subject. There's a big machlokes about who's the one that's supposed to be lighting the candles in the shul, the chazan or the gabbai or the shamis. But I'm the one who lights in the shul. I'm the guy, the chazan. I'm the one who light. And last night they ran out of candles, so I told the gabbai to make sure that their candles for tomorrow. So, and I come there and there are no candles. And one guy says, look, there's one candle in that box, there's one candle, just like one. So the truth of the matter is 100% right. That's what supposed they can do that. You can light just one. And there was like a chatzi shamish over there. So I was thinking about should I light one, and the people went wild. It's like, are you Jewish? How can you light just one?
That's what you have. You light it.
That's right. And do you make a bracha?
Yes.
Is it going to be chshad?
Kashad that you don't know what night it is?
No, this chshad that you didn't light candles. You go to somebody's house and you see one candle there.
No, they see you lit.
So fine. So I'm asking you, on the second menorah, how many candles do you have to light?
I still say 8.
Why?
Because they think that's the only one you're lighting, and that's how much people light. They light 8 on that night. I mean, luckily you can get away with one if that's all you have, but we light 8.
But will the person who sees it say that Rabbi Zacharias did not light Hanukkah candles?
You will not say that.
So then why do I have to light more?
Okay, light 1.
No, why? You're such an easy guy to get along with. I just want to know, explain to me why are you so bent on I should light 8?
Because that's everyone does mehadrim in mehadrim lechatchila.
Right.
I understand, but we're not doing it right now to be Yaitz Mahadrim and Mahadrim Lechatchila. I'm doing it so people shouldn't badmouth me.
So one's fine.
So what's fine?
Is there an issue of having them badmouth that a person's not doing lechatchila?
I don't know of any such thing. The answer to the question is, in my opinion, 1. However, there are other opinions. And why are you laughing?
Well, let's hear the Rav's opinion.
No, I just said my opinion is you have to light 1. That's
Right.
it. But the other opinions, and the vort is like this. I started off, you people are not paying attention. You know, I usually say things and it's all connected. I asked, how did this conversation start? Why does he say that you don't have to make a bracha on the second one? Of course you don't have to make a bracha on the second one. Why should you have to make a bracha on the second menorah? So he gives me this funny teretz. Well, of course, because you yaitz with the first one. The reason why you don't have to make a bracha on the second one because you're not being makayim any mitzvah. Just that people not be over on you're not be over on lifnei ivra. People saying lashon hara on you.
Right.
Of course, you don't make any bracha on it. Right? Isn't that the pashut answer? So, but the problem is, if that was the answer to the question, the Shulchan Aruch wouldn't have to tell you don't make a bracha. You people with me? So to answer this question, the Placey really asked this question in Hilchos Shchita. The halacha is that a ben pekua is a baby that was born after the mother was shechted. There must be some fancy English name for it. But so the halacha is that even though it's alive and running, but it already was shechted. Because he was shechted, the baby was shechted when it was a part of the mother. And the shechita of the mother is materit. And it may look like it's not shechted because it's walking around without any scars on its neck, but it really was shechted, and midaraisi, you'd be able to eat it. So and this is actually, according to some, this is what happened with the brothers and Yosef. They were eating a ben pekua, and Yosef said that they were eating without shechita. Whatever, this is a famous subject, and the halacha is that you have to shecht it because of like a chshad. And could be there. You do have to make a bracha. The question is, are the two things the same or not? Sometimes we learn a halacha, and the halacha gives us a reason. It doesn't always tell us the whole story. Sometimes because of the chshad, so Chazal said, you know how many places you have to light? 2. You're not lighting 1 for Neres Chanukah and the second, so people don't say Lashon Hara about you or Motzi Shamra about you. When you have a situation of chshad, you have to light in 2 doors. And both of them are a Ner Chanukah. Now here, we're asking a question. Parents, are you here? I think that says Parents listen. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm here.
Here's a question. If you have a guy, let's ask this question from a different angle. You have a guy who lit 2 menorahs, one for Hanukkah and one for Chshad. And now there's somebody else, a homeless guy wants to make his a birchas haroya. Could he make a birchas haroya on the menorah of Chshad?
Why not?
Is it a ner shel Hanukkah or not?
There's no mitzvah. No mitzvah.
It is an Erev Hanukkah.
It's not.
Why? All it was, so people shouldn't say that I'm a low goodnik.
Yeah, but you're still lighting it for Hanukkah.
I'm lighting it so that the guy don't get besmirched in the newspaper.
You're lighting it so there's Persume Nisa on the other door too.
Who says? Who says? That's exactly the question.
Let me ask you, if you had 2 houses and you're living in one of them, do you have to light in the second one with the bracha?
If you're not living there, there's no Chshad. You don't even pay arnon on it.
Why is there no chasad? How do they know who's
Because you
living
live
there? How do people know? They see a house with no light and they know it's yours.
You have no chiyuv mezuzah in it either. You're not living there.
He's not living there that night.
Oh, you are living there.
He lives there sometimes.
Okay, so I don't know. This is a big machlokes haposkim. According to most poskim, you do not have to light. This is I have this question every single year on Hanukkah. When I leave to come to Beit Shemesh for Shabbos Hanukkah, if I have to light in my house in Yerushalayim. And according to Rabbi Yashiv, I'm supposed to light in my house in Yerushalayim all the time. According to others, I have to light in Yerushalayim Mishum Chshad. Chazon Ish was choishish for that. I'm not choishish for that. I didn't do it this Shabbos Hanukkah or the last Shabbos Hanukkah or the Shabbos Hanukkah before. Sometimes I have some, yeah.
Is the chashad the first one or the second one that you light?
You ask me, I would say the second. After Yom Kippur, the mitzvah, what's left is chshad. That's what I would understand. Anyways, the answer to the question is, as I said over here, I think it has to do with the question which I asked before. I said, what happens? What if you have how many neres do you have to light? If you have to light 2 menorahs, now your chiyuv of Hanukkah's neres Chanukah becomes in 2 places, and then you have to light in 2. Then you have to light 2. Now, I will just point out to you, there's a fascinating Shari Tshuva on this subject, which is should be over here if I'm not mistaken. Here it is. I have it on page Kuf Mem on the base. V'ayin b'birkei Yosef b'shem michtom l'David. Mi sheyesh lo chotzer shel shnei psachim shemevorach ba'achas v'yom echad hayatarun v'tziva sheyad liku v'chein also v'idliku b'pesach echad. They lit in one. V'ad shebo. I lost my place. V'chein also v'idliku b'pesach v'ad shelo yidliku b'sheni. He wasn't home, so he had a shliach light for him in one place. And until they got around to the second door, he came home. Yochel levorach k'sheyad le'pesach sheni. He's allowed to make a bracha on the second Pesach. Why? Because it's a Ner Chanukah, like Parrot said. Now, I have issue with this psak. Why do I have issue with this psak? Because I have issue with a lot of issues. Because there's halacha in Hilchos Bedikas Chometz. If somebody made a bracha on Bedikas Chometz and he did part of it, if somebody else can make a bracha on the rest of it. even in two different houses. And over there, the Achronim say that you can't have on one mitzvah two brachas. One bracha per mitzvah, please. No crowding. And here, we seem to say that you can have two brachas. I have a possible answer to the question, but I'm just going to leave it as a question as of right now. But that's a fascinating idea. In other words, every time someone might give birchas harayah, you have to say, well, how do you know which one it is? How do you know which one is the first one, which is the second one? Yeah, but then the question is, well, what kind of mitzvah is there? No, but then it's a what? But it's the both ner Chanukah. It's the same thing. You have two different places. It's not two mitzvahs. You have two different places to light. It's still, I have an obligation to light on my house. In my house, maybe I have an obligation to light on two places. But it's the same mitzvah. It's not a totally new mitzvah. I have, one second, I have an apartment building. That's me. I have an apartment in Yerushalayim, I have an apartment in Beit Shemesh. How many mitzvahs of B'dikas Chametz do I have? Which one?
To make sure you have no chametz in your house.
In my house is.
It will be rishus.
Right. So can I make a bracha in Yerushalayim and then come to Beit Shemesh, make a bracha in Beit Shemesh? What? So why should I be able to do it on two menorahs?
Here, each delis is a place for its own mitzvah.
And each place a place for chametz.
No, my ownership of chametz is one general ownership of all chametz I own. Here, I have to light Hanukkah in two separate places. My mitzvah Hanukkah is here and here.
Classic question. If I had somebody put up a mezuzah for me, then I come to the next place, can I make a bracha? In the next door. My house. You have a big mansion. You did 10 doors.
Both
And,
chayiv deraisa.
yeah. What's the difference?
They're both chayiv, maybe.
So that's a question. It's one mitzvah. Shouldn't have it. You shouldn't be making two brachas. All right. Anyways, let's carry on. Anyways, meal bisman hazeh. That would be that. It could be you have to make a bracha. It's for a different reason.
If his family lived for him, then he comes home
They can't
and he
make a
decides
bracha.
to light his own. He can't do that.
No, unless they had
They had in mind that maybe
not that they didn't have in mind. They had
had
him.
him to be not yotze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Meo bizman hazeh shekula madlikim bifnim mamash, that we light inside. Ein heker le'rishos harabim klal, and there is no heker to rishos harabim. Afili yesh chotzer of bebayis harbe psachim harbe ruchos and madlikim elapamachas bifnim v'chein niraliyah cheda minik pashet. Nowadays that we light inside totally, so we're not worried about people outside gonna say, because people inside know and outside they don't see anyways. So man, we don't have a problem. I just like to mention that the accepted psak in Eretz Yisrael is that there's no halacha of chshad nowadays. I'm willing to say that if I would ask people when they light, I'm willing to say that you're not going to find a homogeneous answer. And even if you find a homogeneous answer of those people that have the same time of when they're going to light, where they're going to light is going to be different. I'm willing to say that of the people listening to the shir right now, some of them are lighting inside and some of them are lighting outside. Some of them are lighting by Shkia, some of them are lighting by Tzeis, and some of them are lighting in the middle. Is that a pretty fair statement? I don't know that it's true, but I think it's true. I think that's true. Okay, nothing like uniformity in Klal Yisrael. Anyways, so
Rebbe, I have a question. What changed in the mentality of Klal Yisrael that today we're not worried about chashad and in previous times they were?
I'm in the middle of answering that question. So when I see a guy today that he doesn't have his menorah by his door, so you know what I say? I'm choshid him. You know what he is? He's a Chazon Ishni. Right? That's a pretty bad thing to say, right? Right? And then somebody else, I'm choshid him. He must be a chassid. You don't see the guy lighting his menorah in his door. It's not like a yes or no answer. There's so many possibilities to where the guy could be lighting that, and when he could be lighting, that you can't, you don't have a right to assume anything. Yes.
Also, the type of buildings we have today is very different to what they had today. High rises, like 4, 5, 6, 7 stories,
And therefore,
the menorah could be anywhere in about 3 or 4 different places.
right,
You know?
that's the same. So
Right,
you have,
that's also not true.
right. So no, so the fact that you don't see anything doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a great Damakavskus guy. We don't necessarily assume. That's the opinion I would say of most of the poskim. I would just like to say that I don't like that answer. Why?
Yeah, I have a good question. Do we still make a bracha on every aliyah in shul?
One more time.
Huh? Do we still make a bracha on every aliyah in shul?
I did this morning.
Right. So if we seem to say even people wouldn't be choshed for things, but now we say people are still choshed. We don't change it.
I'm lost. Why you want originally they only had the first guy and the last guy. Now we're so he said everybody makes their own bracha. Now
Right. Would anyone nowadays be choshed that?
I have no idea. I never lived in a society that they had otherwise. I don't know. I know. I'll ask you a better question, parents. You know, I love the guys who come late. They're the Ibrahim Chacham. They have it all figured out. They come late and then they say what happened. Why don't you just be there for the whole thing before you form an opinion? What kind of business is this? They see half a story and then they make up a Baba Maisa and we're worried about them? What were Chazal thinking? Parents.
Yeah. I've had the same question.
No. But before you ask your question, this question has to be answered. And the answer is somehow or another that that's the facts, that's the way it was. Period. And I don't know that those facts, default, if you want to call it in human nature, I don't think has changed. When people will find ways to have complaints, they will. I think that's pretty much, yeah.
When it said we don't have the chashad these days because we light indoors, that's talking about in Chutz La'aretz they would light indoors, and these days indoors. The Mishnah Berurah, right?
Yes.
Right. So that's talking about Chutz La'aretz. But now we're in Israel, and we definitely light the so therefore we should have the chashad.
And that's what the whole reason why the answer that I gave was for your question. So why is it the place can say nowadays that we light outside we don't have that chash? Because we still have a variety of so many times in different places that we don't have the chash. Your question is right. The Mishnah Berurah points out basically what you're saying. I want to tell you something. I don't know. In Chutz La'aretz, everybody lights by their window. I think that's basically the truth. It's not like in the times of the tour, and the Mishnah Berurah actually addresses your question, that they lit inside Be'emet al Shulchan. Nowadays, everybody lights in the window. The Chutz La'aretz. That's what really goes on. And I think that was true in the Ramos times. Anyways, why is it that I don't like the answer? We're going to see in a minute, but I know you. You're a grog guy, or you're a Chazon Ish guy, and I know when you light. No, because you bought yourself this big fancy house and I don't see it in the time that I know you're going to be or supposed to be lighting. Why don't I have chash? Oh, so he's asking a good question, and you're going to see the answer is yes. How do I know that the answer is that we know who's the guy? This is Gil Gorelnik's house, and what's he doing? How come he's not lighting? You know, not only I'm choshish the guy for being a no good Nick, I even know who the guy I'm being choshish is. How do I know? I'm going to show you a Mishnah Berurah, fascinating Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah. Let's first see Nun. My Mishnah Berurah is really Nun Beis, but we'll go in order. I'm sorry to have to go in order. Chatzei shel shnei psachim hu adin bayis b'pnei achshad. Why sheyomru b'nei Iroi midol ilik b'ha b'acheres nami lo yidlik. Since you didn't light in the one on the west side, see obviously you didn't light in the one on the north side. V'al ken afilu kol habotim sheb'chatzei shach lo adam echad. Oy she'ein shom b'chatzei rak bayis echad tzach la'adin b'shnei psachim. Because we're going to say that you didn't like Baruch Echad. It's Dafka if it's Baruch Echad. Batam the Chazulei Shehidlik Ba'echad. If they saw that you lit in one, so they know that you lit your Chanukah candles. Umashlo Hidlik B'Sheni, and the fact that he didn't light in the second one, Yodu Anshe Iroi, people in the city will know Shemi Bifnim Hubayis Echad. They know that this is a single dwelling home. And they know the chalukah pnimit of this house. So they seem to know what's going on. Now, see this. Here's my clincher. Look at the Shari Tzion, okay? You're going to find a fascinating thing that is really amazing. That's good about the people from the city. But what about guests that come through that they don't know who lives in this house? Why don't you say that they're going to be choishish that house is really two different people's houses, this duplex? Okay, that's a question the Shari Tzion asked. Look at the Shari Tzion's answer. Of strangers that passed by. Why? The derech harachor sheyisavu abayis cholak b'taycho sheyamu sheshnei batim shechol shnei b'yodom. Look how it's Chanukah. Why? The anoshim nochrim eino mitzuyim b'rchoivos mishetech shechayon. Strangers are. I'm not. This is what it says. Strangers aren't around at nighttime. You know, the mall is closed, so there's nobody around. So being that the mall is closed, nobody around, the only shot I have to worry about are the locals. If I'm talking about the locals, they know that this guy's a Rabbeinu Tam Yid. They know this guy's a Chazon Ishni. So my question is back, why is there shot?
I don't understand the principle of Choshad at all, really, because I thought...
You're a nice guy.
No, I thought, from a famous story, I think I mentioned before, I'll never forget the story about Rabbi Akiva, where he was working for a person and he left not being paid and so on. And that's a situation where I don't think, you know, people like me on my level, or most people perhaps, would be suspicious that this person was dishonest. But no, Rabbi Akiva went home, accepted everything. So I thought, if there's any conceivable possible explanation for something that does not put a person in a bad light, we're supposed to accept that. Now, what would Raf been saying now? He just confused me because it seems that's not the case. How can we, is there a rule we can apply?
Well, I can't answer your question because you're asking a good question. In other words, I say that we can't be choshev people b'ksherim. Does it help? Let's say I get up in shul and I say everybody has to come to shul on time. Okay? And then I show you that it says it in the Rishonim and the Achronim, and the Mishnah Berurah says it. So how many people, percentage-wise, will come on time the next tefillah?
All of them.
Yay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Anybody would like to disagree with him. I for sure would not like to disagree with him. I would like to agree with him.
A few more will come on
A
time.
few more will come because everybody really knows that that's what the halacha is and that's what you're supposed to do. But just like all other averas, people are poor in the delivery, right? So that Gemara is telling us how a person is supposed to live, and there are halachas that are made about the way people do live. So, yes, there is a differential between the two. Your question is, if that's the way Chazal say that we're supposed to live, so then how could it be people are not living like that?
No, I was saying something slightly different. So I was saying that my understanding of that Gemara is that this is the way we're supposed to look to the people.
Supposed to,
yes. Well, we should work on ourselves to reach that level. Like if someone comes to shul, comes late to shul, we should think not that they overslept, but perhaps they got up, there was a baby crying in the night, they got to deal with the baby, and also we've got to think about extenuating
right. So now I
circumstances.
just want to ask you, and what do you think that people think?
That's one of the challenges we have, isn't it? Like, for example,
answer my question.
Yeah. Okay.
What do people think?
People do suspect, but then we've got to work on ourselves not to.
They don't know the Gemara?
I'm not saying it's easy, but I mean, that's what we've got to aim for. It's right. People suspect.
Yes.
I agree.
The answer is yes. You are 100% right. That's what we're supposed to aim for, and that's what it's supposed to be 100%. But the Gemara also realizes, Chazal also realizes that there are people that are
There's no reason they should be here. Who gave the permission?
We're gonna
You better settle yourself down soon, slowly. Also, you have an early start tomorrow. You have to catch up on everything today. If you want to come on Thursday. Yes, if you want to come on Thursday, you're gonna have to catch up.
Gil, mute your mic. Gil, mute your mic.
Hanania, teeth and nails, please. And then you say Shema in bed. Lights are out. You need to brush your teeth and trim your nails. You don't need me.
Gil.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know. There must be some way to do this thing from here. But anyways.
I'm learning. Okay.
All right. Anyways, so this is I think that we did a good enough job on your question. But I wish that you were right, and I also wish that Sheffer was right. And maybe we'll speak about it this Shabbos, and I'll let you know what happens next Sunday, okay? All right. Anyways, so this is amazing Shaarei Tzion. So the Shaarei Tzion seems to say that the people that are being choshed you are people that know you. So this is like pretty strange, because if they know you and they know you have two doors, why in the world would they assume that you didn't like Hanukkah candles? Like, yeah, I was saying that's, it's a little bit strange, the halacha. I don't really have an answer for the question. Anyways, v'heim b'bayis echad avol b'shnei batim v'o shabayis echad cholok b'toichai avol yisheshom arechad tzarich lahadlik b'shteihem because mishum kshat sheyichdu sheshnei bnei adam darim sham. Okay, v'yesh mekirim sheshteihem shechad b'adam echad because they know that it's one person, and even though it's two different houses, you don't have to light two menorahs. B'fnei mamish, and this is your Mishabura. Hainu b'zman hatur sheyom madlikim eitzel pesach habayis v'b'fnim v'yoisin al koponim heker la'ovim. Okay, yesh chshad kol she'ein heker karoi la'ovim. Ma she'ein ken achshav shemadlikim mamish b'fnim totally inside lo ichbas lom klal lasas heker l'nei rishus harabim v'alken lo ichbas lom b'chshad adidu. So here, this is a very important Mishnah Berurah in a Lumdish sense, because the Mishnah Berurah is saying that we're talking about your lighting Chanukas Pnim, but people are seeing it outside, and there still is a problem of Chshad. So there are those who do nowadays actually light in more than one place because of Chshad, but that's not the general accepted halacha. Okay. Now we're going to. I was very much debating whether we should do the halacha over here of when one is supposed to light, but I'm going to go through it a little bit because this morning I was asked the following question. Somebody lives in Tel Aviv and they have to go away, and they can light either by plug or at 10:30 when they come home. What should they do?
Machlokes. That's right. They should light at 10:30.
Why do you say that?
Because everybody agrees that plug is before Shkia, and the Chatchila you don't light before Shkia. And as long as there's someone in their house to have Pisum and Issa, then at least they're doing some Pisum and Issa.
Gil, where do you light your menorah?
Outside my back door.
You light it inside your house?
No.
So why are you talking about people in your house? Who says that helps?
No, because only because at 10:30 that people are not outside in the street. So at least it's for the house.
So you're saying also that he should light inside.
If he's lighting at 10:30, he should probably light inside.
So you didn't give a proper psak according to you. You have to say he should take his menorah inside, light inside, and do it at 10:30.
Right.
Okay. Is that lechatchila to light inside?
No, it's not lechatchila to light it or plug over.
So which b'diavad is biddier?
With regards to Pisum and Issa, you're better off lighting plug outside. With regards to the having to light when it's night, you're better off lighting at 10:30 inside.
Okay, so we're going to vote you in as the next rabbi, because I have no idea what you just said.
Each one has a plus.
Okay, this is true. Yeah, what do you want to say?
Yeah, you said to us last year when we were talking about time of lighting, you said that in Jerusalem that people are in the street until 12 o'clock. It's busy all the time. So therefore, a person in that scenario, if they lived in Jerusalem, they would for sure light at 10 o'clock. Lachatchila.
Okay.
You said the last 2 years actually. You've done the same thing.
Okay. No, I'm happy that's what I said last year, because the person asked me the question. The first thing I asked him, I said, "Where does he live in Tel Aviv?"
Right.
I know this fellow over here, he lives in Beitar. Beitar, it seems to me, Beitar at 11 o'clock at night is hopping. It's not much different than 9 o'clock. Slightly, but here in Beit Shemesh, 11 o'clock at night is dead. Very, very, it's a fascinating thing. Different neighborhoods have different tempos of life. So that's true. My opinion is that the first question you have to ask is, what time is it? Shechol Regel Min Hashuk. I will just tell you on the subject of Shechol Regel Min Hashuk. This year, I came to a mechurishtika definition of what time Shechol Regel Min Hashuk is. I haven't yet checked it out, all the sources, to see if I'm right, but I'm willing to say this is new. I would have never said this here in Eretz Yisrael 10 years ago. Even with what I know now, I wouldn't have said it. When the malls close. In other words, traffic is dependent on commerce. When the malls close, a half hour after the malls closed, everyone went home. And there's always going to be what we'll call it internal traffic to a certain extent. But the comings and goings aren't really happening. If a person would live in a yeshivish community, so could be you would say when night seder is over, even though there are other people that learn after night seder. No, we're not right now discussing how many people are in the street at a time. When is there a shutdown that's happening? No, I believe that even the olden times where people on the streets afterwards just was dalil. It wasn't so populated. but there were always people on the streets. That's what I believe is true. So this is I'm actually investing this. Maybe next year before next year we'll have a clarity on this, so I can find a good source for it. But that's what I believe is the idea of Shechol Regel Min Hashuk. Doesn't mean that there's nobody there. It doesn't mean 1 o'clock at night. The fact that there's sparse traveling, that's not enough. We have to have that there are, the storekeepers are closing up shop. I don't know exactly when that is over here, but I'm willing to say that probably in Beit Shemesh, forget about Avrechim, that are learning in night clothes. But I'm willing to say probably in Beit Shemesh, it's somewhere probably around 9:30.
Rabbi, what do we say about Motzei Shabbos, when a lot of shuls end early and they rush home and light, there's nobody on the street at that time. And there's places where nothing opens up that night.
You know what? That's a wonderful question. And maybe I have to answer it in a different forum. But Motzei Shabbos has a special dinim to it that has to be really explained on its own, because it's after the shuk even on a regular day, right? What happened at times in the Mishnah.
Right, exactly.
So according to Brisk, the Motzei Shabbos is a special din. According to others, and I'll just tell you that from the jokes that I say, there's something that I know better how to do than Rav Itzel Petterberger. Okay? Rav Itzel Petterberger is a phenomenal piece of Musar. It was from the Big Bali Musar, actually. He was the Rav in Petterberg. He wrote a sefer called Pri Yitzchak. In Chelik Aleph, he has 2 tshuvas where he substantiates Shitas Rabbeinu Tam that that's the Ikar Halacha. When he was older, he moved to Yerushalayim. He lived in the Strasse Chotzer. And from Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, when he would walk in the streets, he would be muttering to himself. And people asked him, what is he muttering about? So he said, the meaning of Yerushalayim is to light Motzei Shabbos Chanukah within a half hour after Shkia. So they would daven Ma'ariv 13 minutes after Shkia, and he would be home and light before 30 minutes. That's 17 minutes to daven Ma'ariv, get home and light. Okay. So being that he had to daven Ma'ariv quickly, so from Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, he was practicing davening Ma'ariv properly quickly. So that's what he used to do in his spare time. He didn't have earbuds, okay? So that's what he did in his spare time. So I said about this, I said, there's one thing that I could do better than him. I could probably daven faster. So, but so there are those who are makbid that even on Motzei Shabbos to light till Chatzi Shah. Okay, that was a minhag in Yerushalayim. Okay, we'll stop over here.